Welcome and welcome back. Yeah, today is Kandarin. I'll give you a fair warning. Kandarin's about to catch a lot of shade. It's out of love. I want Kandarin to be good. I really do. Okay, let's talk about it. Starting with the overview, what does this region have to offer? Why do I want to throw shade at it? Well, first off, the map is so large, I cannot get it to fit on one slide without everything being microscopic. So this is North Kandarin, South Kandarin, North Kandarin, South Kandarin. All right, we got that all pictured in our minds. Oh, goodness, Kandarin. You know, the worst part is, as big of an area as it is not very content dense. It is an old area of the game. Shop wise, it is big. There are a lot of like early game shops if you need supplies and things like that. I'm not necessarily going to call them out here, but know that they exist within Kandarin in some different locations. If you're picking Kandarin for like a farming shop, though, you're probably doing it wrong. I'm just saying. Notable shops. We do have a Tanner in the Ranging Guild. That's going to have a 40 range requirement. That's pretty low, so you should be able to get in there relatively quickly. It is old as an NPC, so it's a bit of weird interaction. You don't have like a right-click use Tanner. You have to go through like a dialogue thing in order for them to tan the hides. So, little interesting. Just a quirk of Kandarin. We've got the Legends Guild that has a shop. You can pick up a Legend Cape, maybe like the shield half, so if you want to make like a Dragon Square shield. In the past, when we've unlocked this region, we've had the Legends quest automatically completed. So, you know, if this is one of your earlier regions, it's not a bad cape. It does give some stats, so if you need something in your cape slot, it's not like a bad thing to pick up. Down in Yanil, in the Mages Guild, we've got two shops, sort of. We've got the robe shop. You know, once you've got 66 magic, you can get into the Mages Guild. You can shop, you can get your mystic. It is kind of nice to have at least some sort of armor early on, since I know magic in particular, it's hard to find gear. You know, like until you get to like Moons, if you're in Varlamore, or maybe like Arams if you're going to Barrows in Mauritania, yeah, you don't really have a lot of easy to access options. And yes, 66 magic is maybe not the lowest level, but in leagues, because you have such fast XP, magic's going to be really fast to trade. Yeah, you could get 66 and still be kind of in the early game, so that can be helpful to you. There is a rune shop. Now, this requires a hand in the sand, which is a quest that also requires Asgarnia. It really sucks. Like, absolutely. It's a good rune shop, all right? It sells soul runes, blood runes, nature runes. Like, it gives you the whole spread. It's just, it's locked behind a quest that requires a whole other region. No other region's rune shop has this problem. Only Kandarin has this problem. And I really, really hope that this year they either give us the Hand in the Sand quest auto-completed when we pick this region, or they remove that requirement off of this rune shop specifically for leagues. I mean, if you want to keep it in the main game, so be it. But like, Kandarin needs some help, okay? It needs some stuff. This is one of the things where like it needs this change so that it feels not so bad to take Kandarin. I promise. I'll give you more spiel as we get down there. I'm going to talk about routing. I'm going to talk about when to pick Kandarin, but you're going to hear this the whole way through, okay? Speaking of, yeah, okay, this isn't exactly like a notable shop for Kandarin. I mean, it is technically located in Kandarin, but this is more so my hopes and dreams. That's why the whole thing is orangified. The Myths Guild. Kandarin needs things. It needs help. I want Kandarin to be good. I really do. It's not good right now. It needs some stuff. The Myths Guild would be a nice pickup. This normally requires Dragon Slayer 2, but since it's located in Kandarin, give us Dragon Slayer 2. Don't make us take Fremnik region to get this area of Kandarin. The Kandarin having like other areas required for it to have functionality, horrible, horrible. But here, you know, it's like the shops would be, you know, the Myths Guild, and there's also a weapon shop. You can get some dragon weapons in there. That would be a nice pickup, especially if you're like going to be here early. You know, Myths Cape does give some stats for that cape slot. Dragon weapons maybe is like a mid-game sort of helper for you before you pick up something like Moons or Barrows or, you know, these other kind of options that you have available to you in the different areas. So I would really like to see this. I have some other thoughts about why the Myths Guild makes sense for Kandarin, but for now we're on shops, so I'm going to leave this. Notable hopes and dreams, here they are. If Jagex is watching, please do this. Please. Give Kandarin this. It needs it, I swear. On the resourcing nodes side, There's not like a lot of interesting, unique things that come with Kandarin. It does have some high level trees running around, so it's a big area. It goes all the way up to magic trees, so you've got the whole spread all the way up. Same with fishing spots. There's a lot of fishing spots. Goes all the way up to sharks. There are red chins running around as well. There are, some other hunter options on the way up to those, so it's not terrible for hunter. Though I will say, if we start in Barlamore and you're going to do hunter rumors, Kandarin is a really, really big area, so you probably don't want to do hunter rumors after picking something like Kandarin, just because it's going to make it a lot more annoying to have to get to the different locations. But anyway, for the farming side of things, Kandarin, it's okay. You get a normal kind of farming patch spread up near Ardoin, the 2 allotments, the flower, the herb patch, and we do pick up a couple of tree patches. So there's a normal tree patch. There's actually 2 fruit tree patches as well. They're all in the gnome areas. For these skilling activities, there is a decent spread of stuff here in Kandarin. Fishing is definitely going to be one of the primary things that Kandarin has going for it. We have things like the fishing trawler, which is going to have both the angler's outfit and things like manta rays if you want to do that for food. We've got things like barbarian fishing, which is going to be really good for hybrid training, agility, strength, and fishing together. Maybe even cooking if we get ourselves a relic, which auto cooks the fish as we're fishing them up. We've got things like the Fishing Guild, requires 68 fishing to get in there, and once you do, and you've got the outfit, you can go to minnows. Minnows have an 82 fishing requirement, so a little bit higher, but there are a lot of fishing spots in the Fishing Guild as well. You've got a couple of rooftop courses, so if you want to get your agility up, we've got the Sears rooftop course, that's 60 agility, and then we've got the Ardoin rooftop course, which is the highest level agility course in the game, 90 agility requirement for that one. And they are going to give you Marks of Grace. We don't have the shop for the Marks of Grace, but at least you can stack them up here. I would probably go as far to say that Kandarin is the best area if you want to build up Marks of Grace. Probably not something I would use as my reasoning for picking Kandarin, but hey, a nice little benefit. The other probably large selling point for Kandarin is actually the thieving NPCs. It's kind of like the thieving capital of Gielinor. They're all in Ardoin besides the gnomes there. And not only is it giving you really good thieving progression, the high level NPCs have chances to drop clues as you're thieving them. So it's kind of the only way to passively or AFK build up those clues for yourself. Assuming that you get a thieving relic, you're probably going to need a thieving relic if you want to use these for clues specifically. But the paladins at level 70, they have a chance of hard clues. The gnomes at level 75, they have a chance of medium clues, and the heroes at level 80 have a chance of elite clues. Now, the drop rate on the clues vary a lot. They're not super, super common, but if you've got a clue relic where you're getting them more often, you've got a thieving relic, then parking yourself at the gnomes and just slowly stacking up medium clues, or parking yourself at the heroes and slowly stacking up elite clues, it's actually not a bad thing to do. And especially if you pair this with something like Korend, where you have Watson for trading in for master clues. I think if you wanted to farm masters or just clues in general, Kandarin and Korend are probably a really, really good combo to consider. Moving on, we have the ZMI altar. This is a rune crafting altar. It gives you any type of rune in the game. It scales based off of your level, and there is no level requirement. So Kandarin does have a solve for rune crafting, both early on and later into the game. ZMI is maybe the best training method for rune crafting that you're going to find in leagues, assuming we have something that helps you unnote pure essence or teleport to a location, so you save your spot right at the ZMI altar. And speaking of, while I was doing all of this, I realized because Misthalid is gone, normally you would go to the pure essence mine through Barak, go to the mage shop, he teleports you there. Yeah, he's not there anymore. Since Misthalid got destroyed, which means Kandarin has a monopoly on teleports to the pure essence mine. Is that a win for Kandarin? I mean, I guess if you want AFK pure essence mining, yeah, maybe. It's something. Yeah, good job, Kandarin. I guess at least they do have something. It is good for Kandarin, right? And you also have the Slayer Master as well. Neve or Steve? It'll probably be Steve, because I think last time we had the Monkey Madness quest auto-completed, so... Spoiler, rip Neve, I guess. If that's a spoiler to you. Now, for my hopes and dreams, I also want to include Wrath Runes in the mix, so this is a part of the Myths Guild. These require 95 rune crafting. Right now, the Myths Guild, it requires having the Fremni region as well. So you would have to do Kandarin plus Fremnik. I don't love that as a combo. There are some reasons why you might want to do that, but I'm telling you right now, and this is going to make sense as we get through to the end, but I'm laying the groundwork. I promise this is leading to something. Give Kandarin the Myths Guild. It's going to give him access to Wrath Ruins. It's going to be important, I promise. When we get to Mage Gear, I think it's all going to come together. And then for the stuff that's kind of not skilling, kind of not combat, you've got a lot of mini-game style stuff here in Kandarin. Barbarian Assault, Castle Wars, the Gnome Restaurant, Chavmi Hunting. Ooh. Exciting. Salarin the Twisted has an herb chest that you can farm out for any of those folks who are just locked to Yanil. This is also the location where you can charge the combat bracelet and the skills necklace. So if you want some extra teleports, that is kind of a nice benefit of Kandarin. Also helps you with the higher end of the jewelry box if you want that in your house. But we are moving on to the mobs and bosses. This region is so heavily focused on Slayer. They're pretty much all Slayer mobs besides maybe like the demonic gorillas for Zenites and the ballistas. Maybe like the Monkey Madness 2 tunnels if you want to like burst and barrage down there. I don't think that's quite as important for leagues, but it will give you like the absolute maximum experience if you wanted to do that. But of course, on the Slayer end, we get the Slayer Cave that's going to be next to Neve Steve. We've got all of these different Slayer creatures kind of in the mix. There are Myth Dragons as well in this area. But just to kind of put into perspective, you need 56 Slayer for Terror Birds. It's not a bad requirement. But then you have things like Krakens, which need 87 Slayer, or Smoke Devils, which need 93. So you are going to be spending a lot of time on Slayer while you're here. And speaking of, we've got the bosses, which are just larger versions of the mobs. So we've got the Thermonuclear Smoke Devil, and then, Big Boss Kraken. They have the same Slayer requirement, and the drops that they give aren't even unique. Besides this staff here on the Thermonuclear Smoke Devil, the little versions drop everything else. So you don't even necessarily have to do the bosses besides maybe like some KC tasks. I think there was like a 750 KC task for the boss Kraken last year. So yeah, I mean, you can end up having to farm out a lot of these, but Thermonuclear Smoke Devil, for example, I think it only had like a single KC task. And I guess maybe like the Unique also had a task, but you didn't have to go and kill 500 of those. Which is almost a shame, because I feel like this one is faster to kill than the Kraken one is. But of course, on the Echo side, there's only 2 bosses you can pick from. Last year, we got an Echo Thermonuclear Smoke Devil. It was an annoying one to farm. It's an annoying boss. The mechanics for it, I don't know if I would call it hard. It wasn't very chill. It was just annoying. It's just annoying. It made Kandarin even more annoying to deal with. Kandarin doesn't need more L's, okay? Give Kandarin like an easy Echo boss. You need Slayer to get to this thing. You need 93 Slayer. So it's in the end game, but like it's not hard enough to really be an end game boss. And it's also like it was a prayer mechanic. You have to move, you have to switch prayers. Is it hard? No, but does it take a long time? Yeah, for what this boss is. Now, I do think they're probably giving us the same Echo boss here. I mean, they could switch it to the Kraken, but there's not a lot of bosses to choose from. And honestly, I don't know if either of them are going to be fun in Echo versions. Prove me wrong on this. I would much prefer that Kandarin have an easy Echo boss to farm, a fun one to farm. Now, last year we got the Devil's Element. At the time, this wasn't really that good. It was a magic offhand, so if you're not familiar with elemental weaknesses, this works with standard spells. And at the time, there's maybe like a dozen creatures that had an elemental weakness, and you're not normally using standard spells. You're normally going to use like a charge staff until you get up to like the shadow at the end game, and then you're using the shadow. So otherwise, you're probably like bursting, barraging stuff with ancients. And so there wasn't a huge place for this. Now, since then, we have had a lot of different elemental weaknesses added to a lot of different creatures. And we've also had some get increased, so they're more potent, which makes me think that this might actually be good if we get this item again this year. It is a little unfortunate that it's in Kandarin, which isn't very PVM heavy, so Kandarin by itself, you're not going to have a lot of options, but it would be kind of cool to get an elemental weakness build, which is kind of where I'm building up with my hopes and dreams. I'm going to save it just a little bit. We're almost there. We're getting to the gear right now. So on the gear side, I mean, yeah, It's gear. It's there. Do you want to do a fun ballista build? You could. It's not going to be optimal, but it might be fun. I do like the idea of a ballista build. The charge staffs are fine. They're okay. They're good. I mean, they're here. You could probably live without them if I'm being real, but for magic, on the melee side, you get the swag, you get the dragon full helm, right? I mean, you get a 6-pack. It's something. Well, if you can do barbarian assault, there may not be enough people in Kandarin to do that. But, the real things that you're coming here for, all of the Zenite jewelry, the necklace, the staff, maybe even the piety prayer if we don't get something that unlocks all of the prayers for us automatically. So it's not, bad. It's just there's not a lot of main gear pieces. You get the jewelry, right? That's basically why you're here in Kandarin. It's just for the jewelry. And unfortunately, a couple of these items have been outclassed by other areas, which is why Kandarin has lost so much value over the years. That and, we normally get something that will unlock all the prayers for us without having to pick a region. If we get that again, it's rip Kandarin, dude. So, it's time to put all the pieces together. My hopes and dreams. Why do I think Kandarin deserves the Myths Guild on unlock? It is almost there for that elemental weakness build. If we got access to Wrath runes, then we would get access to the highest tier standard spellbook offensive spells, which would mean we can actually do an elemental weakness build. The Devil's Element, better elemental weakness. We've got 2 of the almost best magic damage bonus jewelries here. The Smoke Devil's Staff also gives a bonus to standard spells. So, all of this together just screams to me, make Kandarin the elemental weakness home. You pick this up, and you've actually got, a cool build. Now, even if we have all of the most absolute optimal elemental weakness things for Kandarin, is it going to be better than, a Shadow? Probably not. But it's going to be fun, okay? Sometimes we want to have fun in these games, all right? Kandarin needs fun, all right? It's not winning in, best in slot anymore. Confliction Gauntlets came in, wrecked the poor, mage jewelry piece, I get it. It happens. Let Kandarin at least be fun, please. Combo items. Well, you need good gear first, Kandarin. All right, I'm trolling a little bit on that. I mean, it's not the worst, but it is kind of the home of combo items. I would say a lot. It's still not a lot, but some of the better stuff in the game, particularly for the jewelry pieces, they come from Kandarin in the main game. Will we have that in leagues? Probably not. They're probably going to give us full items. So Confliction Gauntlets, are we going to have to come to Kandarin? I doubt it. For the Araxor Rancor Amulet, are we going to have to, come to Kandarin while we have Moritania? Probably not. Do we want a Trident of the Swamp from Taranwin? Honestly, it's not even that good of an item anyway in League, so that one's just dead in the water. But at least that means that there's not a ton of combo items you have to worry about in Kandarin. Maybe for the diary requirement, but in the past they made it so the diaries can be completed in these areas, so I'm not expecting that there's going to be anything kind of holding us up in Kandarin. On the task side, we've got the numbers from last year: 13 easy, 37 medium, 30 hard, 20 elite, 3 master. Now, another L for Kandarin is coming. Brace yourself, Kandarin lovers. Double Shine, I see you there. This was actually literally the lowest point region that you could pick last year. It had under 9,000 points. Brutal. It doesn't have a lot going for it. It's, the nice thing is they pulled the monkey laps and the chompy hunting tasks. So we don't have to worry about that. But man, if you want the most points in a region, it's not the play. And the other downside is because it doesn't have a lot of points, it means you kind of have to do everything that's in the region if you really want to take advantage of it. But I'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the routing and the pros and cons for choosing this. Some other big tasks that you're going to be looking forward to are things like the rare equipment. So get a Trident, get the Zenites, get the Ballistas. You're going to have things like Demonic KC, Kraken KC, Smoke Devils might have a KC task. On the skilling side, things like chins, go and hunt 250 red chins. Do some number of laps on the different rooftop courses. There's a lot of fishing stuff, so I'm sure that there's going to be fishing-related tasks as well. And then, of course, the mini-games, so Castle Wars, Barbarian Assault, Fishing Trawler, all of that stuff gives rewards that can have some tasks associated to them. So routing, how do we use Kandarin? How do we save ourselves because we accidentally misclicked this region? Well, if you misclicked it early, it's actually not the end of the world. I do think Kandarin is one of the stronger early regions. Normally, it has quests that you'd be able to complete and kind of teleport your stats up, particularly for like melee stats. Those, however, tend to be auto-completed, which is kind of an L for Kandarin. But on the positives, you get things like barbarian fishing. So if you have some good AFK time at the start of the league, maybe you're like working or something, and you just want to kind of slowly work on your stats. Barbarian fishing's great. You get up strength, you get up agility, you get up fishing. I'm like, what am I missing? Of course, fishing, right? I mean, it's a fishing method. Yeah, you might also get up cooking if you have the relic for that as well. It does have a Slayer Master. I mean, I do like this Slayer Master. I like the fact that there's a Slayer Cave right next to him, so you might get some easy tasks in there, kind of speed things along. And it has an early runecrafting solve, which is going to be rather challenging in this league unless Jagex gives us something specific to the Yama League to kind of solve that issue. Since normally early runecrafting is more or less done in Misthalin, but we don't have that region. Now, as you're moving into the mid-game, you've misclicked it as your second region. I'm really sorry. I hope you like minigames, because there's a lot of them. And yeah, Barbarian Assault might be a little bit of a different one. Hope you like minigames. Hope you have enough people to run said minigames. Golly, dude. They gotta do something about this. Oh, maybe they'll pull some of the Barbarian Assault tasks or something so you don't have to worry about it. Oh, but then they'd lose points. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Of course, on the like positive side for Kandarin, thieving is really good. If we've got a thieving relic, you can start thieving for those clues. Clues are normally worth quite a lot of points. Not necessarily locked to a particular region. That's just kind of like in the global pool of tasks or whatever. But, you know, getting things like a certain number of collection logs, getting some rare drops from clues. Some of them might have equipment tasks, like equip a pair of ranger boots, something like that, right? So there's going to be a lot of points behind clues. So I do think that this is like a strong point, especially if you like clues. You know, come here, you're just thieving away. You need some AFK. You're still at work. I guess, you know, maybe Kandarin's like a decent AFK kind of region for you. Otherwise, you're mainly focused on Slayer. All of your stuff is locked behind Slayer in this region. You gotta get up to 93 Slayer, so like you're gonna be doing a lot of it. Also in the mid game, you're gonna probably be picking up things like your Warp Scepter if you're going the magic build. As you get to 56 Slayer, that'll at least be pretty quick. Maybe picking up Piety. That one is level 70 prayer to use, but that's gonna help a lot with melee. And you can also probably farm out the Zenites in the mid game. You could do it later, and it would probably be like a little more efficient, but demonic gorillas aren't that hard to kill. So if you're coming in here with like moons or a whip or barrows or something in that nature, you know, it'll be fine. You'll be able to farm them out pretty well. And then we get into the end game. End game. Yeah, there's not a lot to do here, you know. You've got your Slayer level, you go get your boss drops or whatever. Maybe you get some KC tasks out of the way. You're going to move on, you're going to get to the Echo. It's going to take you a little bit, but it's not like a crazy thing to farm out. So, I mean, there's just not a lot to do. There's not a lot to do, which, is it a pro, is it a con? It probably depends. I do view Kandarin as mostly a support area. It's one that you can pick up early because there are some more options for you. So, like, for a second region pick, it's not bad. Picking it last, I mean, you can. Like, Kandarin at least is flexible in that regard. The thing is, it's just not a lot to do. It's a light region, with the exception of the fact that you do need a lot of Slayer in order to do everything in Kandarin. So, yeah, I hope you like Slayer. You're going to have to get up to 93. We might have some way to passively train Slayer. Like last year, we had a Slayer relic. Every creature counted as a Slayer task, and so then you didn't really have to think about it. In cases like that, then yeah, I mean, you're not really having to do a lot of PVM. You go park up somewhere AFK with like some aggressive critters. They're hitting you, you're hitting them back. You get some free Slayer XP. It's not that big of a deal. What are the things that I like about Kandarin? I like the ZMI altar, having no level requirement, being an early runecrafting solve, being really good XP even into the later levels of runecrafting. ZMI is good. It's one of the big selling points here. I also really like the thieving stuff that's in Kandarin as well. Getting clues, it's not hard in leagues because you normally have boosted rates for them. Purely AFK clues from combat or other things, I mean, it doesn't really exist. You know, maybe like, I don't know, hard clues from Heckhounds or something like that. You know, like you will have some options, but especially on things like elite clues coming from heroes, if you could just AFK those, I mean, it's going to feel pretty nice. Realistically, you got to give Kandarin some points for that. It's also got a lot of the supportive jewelry. You know, the jewelry is like a big reason that you come to Kandarin. Not all of it is best in slot anymore, but at least it fills out kind of like some pretty top tier stuff for every style. You're picking up at least something. And I do really like the idea of an elemental weakness build. We just got all those elemental weaknesses. I really want it to work. It kind of doesn't work without us getting Wrath runes, but I'm hoping. It's a hope. It's a dream. Don't put that into consideration unless they say something during like the leaks that are coming up here in like a week or two. On the con side of things, there's just not a lot of like unique benefits that come from Kandarin. Things like, the farming patches. You've got like Korend is better at farming. Taranwin is probably better at farming. Barlamore is probably better at farming than Kandarin. You know what I mean? Like, with red chins, you get red chins everywhere now. Red chins used to be really good for Kandarin, and not anymore. It's just not that unique. And so Kandarin is just one of those regions where it's been slowly power crept by other regions and relics and combat masteries and such over time. And so it's just lost a lot of its luster, lost a lot of its shine, a lot of its value. I also absolutely hate that the rune shop is locked behind another region. It's here in Kandarin. Let me use it. I swear. Okay, like, if they don't give us the Wrath runes, they don't give us the Myth Guild, they at least need to give Kandarin the rune shop so I can take this off of the cons list. Why am I picking a region that has like a good rune shop and then I can't use it? Oh, it hurts me. It hurts me. It hurts me deeply. I also think Kandarin, you do have to be a little careful with it since it's one of those low point regions. Like I mentioned before, it means that you have to do the tasks. If you wanted to skip like doing the Kraken tasks, it hurts you that much more because the total pool of points in this region are so much lower. I know a lot of people hate on raids regions because they're like, oh, raids hold a lot of points. It is true, but just for comparison, if I took Chambers of Xeric out of Korend, it would still be worth more points than Kandarin. So that's saying you do literally 0 Chambers of Xeric. And if you take Korend, are you going to do 0 Chambers of Xeric? I don't think so. I think you're going to do like 1 or 5 or 10. Yeah, you may not farm it out. You may not go for full Ancestral, but you're going to pick up some of those points. Whereas Kandarin, golly, I mean, it's brutal because you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I want to skip Barbarian Assault because Kandarin is typically an unpopular region and it's so hard to get people to do Barbarian Assault runs. Okay, well, there goes 10% of your points, I guess. Woohoo! You know what I mean? Oh, it's tough. It's tough. If you do run into that specific problem, again, the League's Discord is probably going to save you on any of these lesser picked regions. Desperate, ping some people who have Kandarin and say, hey, my favorite 4 buddies that were the only people who took Kandarin, can we get together for like a Barbarian Assault run or two so we can all get the tasks associated to them? Maybe you could solve that problem. But that is it for Kandarin. I am going to be covering all of the areas, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see that. I'm also going to be covering any of the League's news as that comes out. And if you want these slides available to you on the second screen of your monitor while you're running around in Leagues, I am going to have those available in my Discord. Make sure to pick up the Leagues role once you join, and you'll see the channel where I'm posting these. But with that, that's everything. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.